Welcome to APUA's Green Antigua PowerBlast, a search for future inventors and innovators right here in Antigua and Barbuda. I am Terry Andrew. Now we're down to 4 teams after last week's Energy Efficient Home Challenge, and each team looks more determined than ever to stay in this competition. They truly know what it takes now to move forward, and in 3 short weeks we can finally answer the big question: who will be APUA's Green Antigua PowerBlast champions? Now let's meet the remaining teams.
My name is Seth Joseph. My team name is The Physicists. And the 4 members of my team are Victoria Mansour, Kikilani Boswell, Antigua Lotto, and Grace Somerville.
My name is Francesca Etinov and my team is Honey Blasters. The members on my team are Arian Peters, Kiani Jacobs, Aljean Roberts, and Lashika Hodge.
My name is Joshua Robbis. I'm from the St. Mary's Secondary School. Name of the people that's on my team is you have John Williams, you have Kevin Joseph, you have Jaime Williams, you have Tennyson Cornelius.
My name is O'Neil Rowe and my team name is The Conquerors. The group members are Chevron Jones, Audie Daly, Shaquan Frederick, and Jason Blackwood.
Who will be judging this week's competition? Marley Barnes, he's an energy officer in the Energy Ministry. Kendra Thomas, she's the Assistant to Science Education Officer in the Ministry of Education. And Anthony Spencer, he's an Education Officer for Natural Science. Now, is your team ready for your next build?
Yeah!
Alright. Now, this week, you will be designing and building a solar water heater. Solar water heating is the conversion of sunlight into heat for the purpose of heating water, in some cases up to 200 degrees Celsius. These devices are used mainly for residential applications with some limited industrial uses. Varied solutions are necessary for different climates and latitudes depending on the amount of sunlight available and the average temperature of your region. Fortunately for us and the teams, Antigua and Barbuda has plenty of sunlight, and solar heaters can be found on roofs all across this country. Now your team will have a time of 90 minutes to complete this project and must give an oral presentation to the judges while demonstrating your device. Your time will commence when you join your team at the Botanical Gardens. Good luck.
how we came up with the design. You see, okay, we were kind of familiar with what it does, but we never know how it's supposed to look. So you see, okay, what we'll do, each of us was given the task to walk around the village and see what the water heater looks like. And then we'll also go online and look up diagrams and so how to build it and the shape it's supposed to have.
Had this solar water heater this week, and we just thought about, okay, we have to use black because black absorbs heat. We thought about using a greenhouse effect to make sure that we keep the heat inside our system by using plexiglass on top and below the system underneath the pipes itself.
First, we look back to when we built our solar cooker, and just try to use the same concept of what we used then, because then we didn't really get like a good enough temperature, but we tried to fix any problems that we had with the solar cooker in our design.
We basically went through what we wanted to do beforehand. At school, we went through different designs, and we looked out the best way to go about making the design. Practicing, so that when we came, we know what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do it.
Now, just a few things that the teams should keep in mind. In the simplest form, solar water heaters consist of two components, a solar collector and a storage tank. Now, the solar collector will use the sun's heat to heat the water, but to really rise the temperature, as much of the sun's energy as possible must be captured and retained. This is where the teams can separate themselves in this competition. The team whose designs can raise the water's temperature the highest will make it to the top three. One team will find themselves in the hot water.
Or you see the guy that came up with the whole plan, me and my teachers. I let the other guys in, and then everybody really helped to build, but everybody got certain jobs to do on the side, so then when we bring everything together to complete the end product.
This week we had a lack of teammates, so we just had 3 team members, so we decided we have to work smart and hard and just fast overall.
First, we changed the surface area where the heat can get in. We changed the insulation, how we did it, and that's basically it.
Well, we looked at how we made the solar cooker and we followed the way we made it. And to complete the task today with making the solar water heater, doing a similar design with trapping the heat within the box so that the whole pipe would be heated up to help the water rise. And so we followed the similar principle with how we made the solar cooker.
I was doing the spray painting and the taping, whilst my friend over there, Kevin Joseph, he was responsible for the tank and the tubing. Also, Jaime Williams, he was the glue guy. He glued everything together and spray painted it, make sure everything looked good. And Tennyson Cornelius was the builder. He created the lattice, he cut the box, he made sure everything is the correct shape it's supposed to be in, to us make the project have a good end product look.
We didn't have copper pipes, which we thought we were going to get, but we didn't get copper pipes. So we had to paint the pipes that we got black to absorb as much heat as possible.
I was in charge with the outside and the cutting, the setting up with the bottles. My two of my teammates, Victoria and Kiki, were involved with doing the inside, covering it with foil, and Anna, Trivolotto, and Bree Somerville were in charge with getting everything set up, putting everything together.
Myself with Audie Daly and Chakwan, Frederick, Jason, we carved out the barriers around the box and wrapped it in foil and the duct tape for insulation around the wall.
We use only one button, so it acts as both a catcher and a tank.
reflectors to reflect the sun's heat energy into our system, and our storage tank to collect the water. The catchment tank we insulated with shredded paper to keep the water as hot as possible.
The first thought that we had was just to make the heat focus on the actual bottle, but then we decided to change it and use a hose instead.
Jones, he made the flatbed for the back walling, and we all patched in with everything else that was done. We all did a little thing here and there to make sure the design was completed.
Right, the infrared radiation would come, it would hit the bottom of the tank, and then it would circulate the water. And gravity is also an affecting factor also. So the gravity plus the heated water would roll down, and it would circulate through the pipes, keep on circulating until it stops, and then when it gets hot enough, the water would rise up and then goes into the other end of the tank, catching there, and then that circulation will continue happening until all the water gets heated up, and then we stop.
To achieve the greenhouse effect, we use plexiglass on top our system, on top our system and below the pipes to bounce the light, to bounce the heat energy back and forth, so it keeps the heat energy inside the system as much as possible.
Confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10 would be around 7, 7.5.
Well, we sprayed our hose with spray paint, and when you spray paint the hose and to use glue on it, it was not holding. So we had a big issue with when we placed the glue on the hose, it was not holding together. So we had to do that part over, which was a little issue there for us.
Because the surface of the mirror, we didn't expect it to be so hot, but we needed something to kind of elevate it. So that's why one of our team members came up with the lattice. So we use that to basically just elevate the pipes to make sure it gets all efficient heat it can.
Use plexiglass. And when we saw that the plexiglass wasn't going to fit our entire system and it had gaps, and we knew that the heat energy in our system was going to be lost in the environment, we decided to use plastic wrap to insulate the plexiglass and our system further.
One of the only materials that I would have exchanged was plexiglass. We used saran wrap, and I really wish we had used plexiglass instead. One of the only things I'm worried about is the security of like how secure it is, like how easy it is to fall apart. That's really what I'm worried about.
We only planned on making one water source. Water goes in and out, but we didn't make arrangement to make two. So we had to find a way to have two catchments today instead of one.
Materials we wish we had was some kind of metal pipe, not dense enough so we can't bend it, but just enough to allow more heat convection to come through the metal, so the conduction through the metal, and it heat up the water, creating a better convection current. Therefore,
The first week we had the solar cooker, and we basically did the same design from the solar cooker in the first week to in this week, and we decided to use the greenhouse effect in our solar water heater this week, and we did not do that in our first week.
changed from the bottom of the hose, from the bottle to the hose, because we realized that the hose would be easier for the water to heat up. The only issue that we had with the time was the changing from one strategy to the next, because we changed from the bottle to the hose in around the last 10-15 minutes. So we had to rethink our design and go off of that.
When you leave the hose in the sun, when you get the gush of water out the hose, out the heat, so we follow that principle as well. But also with wrapping our box with the duct tape, so the heat will be able to trap in there much better. We wanted to do that, but we ran out of time.
Everything went as planned actually. So today everything made out how it's supposed to be, because today we actually well prepared today.
Team, not saying that it's being biased, but being a team of all girls, it's kind of hard to communicate all this. We each have our different preferences basically and our different ways of building, and sometimes it just doesn't work, but we know how to work with each other to make sure that each of us get our jobs done, and we assign before each competition who is getting what job, and that's what we keep doing.
Well, we finished beforehand, but there's one or two things that we wanted to get done before, like wrapping the plexiglass on the box with the duct tape, but we didn't get to do that.
All little tweaks we had to make, well, we did that in the end time. So yes, we used the time wisely, and we were frustrated today because the time that we used quite wisely.
If we had the chance to change anything, I think we could have done the project a little bit more neater and have more preciseness for our project. As we know, black absorbs heat very well, so by spraying the pipes and blocks black, the water flowing through this part of our device will be heated using the sun. The box containing the pipes were also covered using a transparent glass. Plexiglass was also put inside the system to create a greenhouse effect. This will trap the heat, preventing it from being lost in the environment and protect the internal components of this device. Concave reflectors were used to reflect the sun's heat energy into the system. A bottle was used as a water supply tank, but after realizing that we needed a way to create enough pressure to force the water through the tubes, we decided to use the principle known: pressure increases with depth. So we made a hole big enough for the PVC tubing to fit inside the lowest part of the bottle. The pressure would be great enough to force the water through our system at this depth. For the storage tank, we insulated using shredded paper. In this way, we can keep the water hot. One limitation that we found is that the solar water heater does not work well on nights or cloudy days, so a material which radiates heat for longer periods of time can be used, such as aluminum.
As physicists present a solar water heater, it is equipped with a black exterior for heat absorption, foil and mirror on the insides for reflection of heat, the bottle where the water is being stored and run through the hose is black on the outside for heat absorption. The hose is where most of the heating of the water will be happening. The mirrors are pointing towards the hose for, again, heat, so the water can heat up. And the container where the water is being stored in also has a black exterior for heat absorption again. And the saran wrap is so that heat can go inside and cannot escape. The only limitation is that heat can escape through small gaps.
Okay, so this is our solar water heater. Well, basically we use the principle of the solar cooker, how the solar cooker works. So we have the hose, we have our catchment. This is the water and this is our warm water where we store the warm water, which is insulated with the mantle, and we use duct tape so that the water will keep warm. How we did inside, we had tape and foil to keep the heat trapped inside with the plexiglass, and so that everything. We also have the principle of hot air expanding. So we had the water, as the water enters and it rises, it will go inside. So we follow the principle that hot air rises, and so the water would be able to pass inside the tank. And that's basically our solar water heater.
Our design here utilizes the infrared radiation from the sun and transforms it to a convection current of air, thus heating up the inside and making sure the heat is insulated. We have some plexiglass here, and you will wonder why it is coated with black. All that is for further conduction and insulation. So when you throw in the water here, it circulates through. And then, have you ever heard the term hot water rises? It rises here because the water gains kinetic energy. Then it goes back in and then it keeps on circulating through until we press a switch to stop the water so you can test. Our design here is easy to build, and it utilizes a lot of scientific principles, of which includes reflection, conduction, convection, and radiation. And it is easy to build as a home project.
Now the time we all been waiting for, the judges' decision. The judges found that this team had a good design to their solar water heater. The tank was outside the heating unit, and it was the only team with circulation that goes external access to stored water. On the oral side of the presentation, the judges thought that this team had a good description of the design and the features of the design. But however, they thought that there was no limitation or suggested improvement to the actual design. and the judges thought that this team misused some scientific terms. Nevertheless, St. Mary's Secondary, you're safe this week. Now, the judges thought that this team, with their oral presentation, they covered a lot of principles. Because that the presenter stumbled frequently while presenting their project. With the design, the judges thought that the design was creative. It was also neat and efficient as well as durable. But as unlike St. Mary's, it had no circulation of the actual water. This team is Irene B. Williams, and you're also safe this week. We'll take a short commercial break. The bottom two teams when we come back. And now for the bottom two teams, St. Anthony's Secondary and Antigua Girls High School. Step forward, please. On the oral presentation for both teams, the judges thought that for one team covered all the necessary points and was actually judged the best overall presentation of all the teams participated. The other team, the speaker, did fairly well and spoke fluently. The judges thought that for both teams, the oral presentation was done fairly well. For one of the teams, the judges thought that the speaker spoke fluently and did a very good job. The other speaker covered all the necessary points and was actually judged the best overall presentation of the teams on show today. For the design, judges thought that for one school they incorporated many scientific features, and overall they completed all the tasks on time in spite of missing 2 team members. So that was a plus for one of the 2 bottom teams that we have here. For the actual design, the judges thought that they were both innovative, but just that it lacked circulation and because the storage tank was built inside of the heater unit. So on that note, the judges' decisions on the judges' comments on the 2 bottom teams. St. Anthony's Secondary School, you're safe this week. Antigua Girls High School, you don't have any power.
Firstly, I would like to thank God for giving us the wisdom and understanding to participate. I would like to thank our trainers and our principal for bringing awareness of this competition. In addition, I would like to thank our parents for allowing us to participate, our opponents for a healthy competition, and APUA for hosting us.